I took the night shift because no one else wanted it. In 1991, night work meant silence. Real silence. No smartphones. No endless notifications. Just the hum of fluorescent lights, the tick of a wall clock, and whatever thoughts you failed to keep out of your head. I worked security at a mid-sized municipal building on the edge of town. Not downtown, not rural. That uncomfortable middle ground where nothing exciting ever happens. Until it does. My shift ran from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. One man on duty, one radio, one desk bolted to the floor. Most nights were the same. I signed in, checked the logbook, walked the perimeter twice, then sat and listened to AM radio static until dawn crept through the windows. That night started exactly the same, until 12:47 a.m. I remember the time because I wrote it down twice, once in the log, once on a scrap of paper I kept in my jacket pocket. I didn't know why I did that at the time. I just knew my hands were shaking. The front door buzzer went off. That alone wasn't strange. Maintenance sometimes came in late, city inspectors too, but nobody ever buzzed after midnight without calling ahead. I pressed the intercom button. "Security, identify yourself." There was a pause. Then a calm male voice said, "This is Special Agent Collins, FBI." I almost laughed. People joked around sometimes, drunk kids, dare pranks. But something about his tone stopped me. No slur, no humor, just professional. "Badge number?" I asked. He gave it immediately, didn't hesitate, didn't stumble. Then he added, "I'm with another agent. We need access, now." I buzzed them in. Two men stepped inside, both in dark suits, both carrying flashlights even though the lobby lights were on. One of them glanced at the ceiling corners the moment he crossed the threshold, like he was counting cameras. That's when my stomach dropped. They weren't here for paperwork. Agent Collins approached the desk. He didn't sit. He didn't smile. "Is anyone else in the building?" he asked. "No, sir, just me." He nodded, like he already knew the answer. "We're going to ask you some questions," he said. "Then we're going to give you instructions. You need to follow them exactly." That sentence changed everything. He placed a thin manila folder on my desk. No markings, no seal. Just my building's address written in black ink. "Has anything unusual happened during your night shifts?" he asked. I almost said no.
But then I thought about the phone calls. For the past 2 weeks, the main office phone had been ringing at night, always after midnight, always just once. When I answered, there was nothing on the line, no breathing, no static, just open air. I told him that. He didn't react. "Any sightings?" he asked. "Sightings of what?" Agent Collins finally looked me in the eye. A man matching this description. He slid a photocopy across the desk. The image was grainy, black and white, looked like it came from a convenience store camera. A man in a jacket and baseball cap, head slightly down, face caught at the worst possible angle. I felt a strange sense of recognition, not familiarity, proximity. "I might have seen him," I said slowly. "Outside, across the street, a few nights ago." Agent Collins's jaw tightened. "What time?" "About 3 a.m. "What was he doing?" I hesitated. "He was just standing there," I said. "Not smoking, not walking, just watching the building." The second agent finally spoke. That wasn't the first time he'd done that. They explained then, or as much as they were allowed to. There had been 4 murders in 3 counties, all night workers, all men, all killed between 2 and 4 a.m. security guards, janitors, 1 toll booth operator, no witnesses, no forced entry, no signs of struggle, just a pattern. And tonight, they believed he was close. Agent Collins leaned in slightly. "We think he uses routine against his victims," he said. "He learns schedules, shift changes, blind spots." My mouth went dry. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because," he said quietly, "your building fits his pattern perfectly." Then he said the words that still echo in my head. "We believe he may try to make contact with you." They gave me instructions. If the phone rang, don't answer immediately. If someone appeared outside, don't approach. If I heard footsteps where there shouldn't be any, lock the door and call us first. They wrote down a direct number. No area code. Before they left, I asked one question. Why hasn't this been on the news? Agent Collins paused at the door. Because panic helps him, he said, and because we don't want him to know we're here. Then they were gone. The building felt different after that, like it was holding its breath. At 1:32 a.m., the phone rang. Just once. I stared at it, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I waited. It rang again. And then, before I could reach for it, the line picked up by itself. No voice, no sound, just a faint clicking noise, like someone tapping a fingernail against plastic. Then the line went dead. I logged the call. At 2:14 a.m., the motion sensor near the west entrance triggered. That sensor had been faulty for years, except that night. I grabbed my flashlight and radio, my hands slick with sweat. As I approached the west hallway, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. The emergency exit door was unlocked, and there were wet footprints on the tile floor, leading inward. I stood there longer than I should have. The west hallway lights were dimmer than the rest of the building. Always had been. Half of them flickered, and the others cast that dull yellow glow that makes everything look older and dirtier than it is. The footprints were fresh. That was the first thing I noticed. They weren't dusty impressions left behind by old grime. They were dark, slightly reflective. Whoever made them had stepped inside recently, and whatever was on their shoes hadn't dried yet. Water, maybe. Or something else. I didn't crouch down to touch them. I wasn't stupid. But I did notice the shape. Heavy sole, work boots, not sneakers. They led away from the emergency exit and deeper into the building, toward the records wing. That made no sense. The west exit was supposed to be locked from the outside at all times. Even maintenance couldn't open it without a key. I checked that door at the start of every shift. It had been secure at 11:05 p.m. I wrote that down myself. My radio crackled softly. I lifted it closer to my mouth. "Dispatch," I said quietly. "This is night security at Municipal Records. I have a triggered sensor and possible unauthorized entry." The dispatcher responded after a pause. "Copy that. Do you need local PD?" I thought about what the FBI had said. "Call us first." "Negative," I said. "Just logging for now." That was a lie, but it was the instruction I'd been given. I followed the footprints at a distance, keeping my flashlight angled low. They passed the break room, then the copy storage area, then stopped abruptly outside room 214, Records Archive B. That room hadn't been used in years. The city moved most of the physical files to off-site storage back in the late 80s. Archive B was technically locked, but I knew for a fact the lock was old. If someone really wanted inside, it wouldn't stop them. The footprints ended at the door. No prints coming back out. I swallowed. "Hello?" I called out, hating how thin my voice sounded. No answer. I reached for the door handle. It was cold, and slightly damp. Before I could turn it, my radio crackled again, louder this time. "Unit 7, dispatch said. "We just got a call from your location." My stomach twisted. "A call?" I asked. "From who?" There was a pause. "We don't know," the dispatcher said. Caller didn't speak. Line stayed open for 12 seconds, then disconnected. I stepped back from the door. That phone call hadn't come from the desk. It had come from somewhere inside the building. I backed away slowly, my eyes never leaving room 214. My heartbeat was so loud I was sure whoever was inside could hear it. I made it halfway down the hall when I heard it. A sound I still can't describe properly. Not footsteps, not breathing. It sounded like fabric shifting, like someone adjusting their weight very carefully, trying not to be heard. I didn't run. I should have. Instead, I keyed my radio and whispered, "Dispatch, I need officers en route, now." Static, then faintly. "Copy, signal weak, repeat." The hallway lights flickered, just once, then again. The door to Archive B creaked open. Not fast, not slow. Controlled. I raised my flashlight, my hand shaking so badly the beam danced across the walls. A man stepped halfway into the hall. He matched the photo. Same jacket, same cap, pulled low, but his face was clearer now. He looked ordinary. That's what scared me most. No wild eyes, no grin, no obvious threat. He looked like someone you'd stand behind in line at a grocery store. "I don't want trouble," he said calmly. His voice was steady, too steady. "You're not supposed to be here," I said. He nodded slightly. "I know." He glanced at the camera dome above us. "They don't work, do they?" he asked. I didn't answer. He took another step forward. "Stop," I said. He stopped. Then he smiled. Not wide, not friendly, just enough to show he knew something I didn't. "They warned you," he said. My blood ran cold. "Who warned me?" I asked. "The men who came earlier," he replied. "The ones who think they're ahead of me." My finger tightened on the radio. "You should leave," I said. He tilted his head. "You're calmer than the others," he said. "They usually panic by now." "Others?" I said. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his jacket. I raised my flashlight and shouted, "Don't!" He froze. Slowly, he pulled out a small object and held it up between two fingers, a keycard, my keycard, the one that had been clipped to my belt less than an hour earlier. I looked down. The clip was empty. "I return things," he said softly, eventually. Before I could react, the lights went out. Total darkness. I felt something brush past me, close enough that I smelled damp fabric and cold air. Then the emergency lights kicked in, red. I spun around. The hallway was empty. Room 214 stood open. Inside, the archive shelves were untouched. No man, no footprints, just my keycard lying neatly on the floor. My radio finally came back to life. "Unit 7, officers are 3 minutes out." I didn't respond, because etched into the dust on the archive room floor were 4 words, written with deliberate care. "You missed one and beneath it." A 5th footprint, pointing toward my desk. The officers arrived 3 minutes later. I know because I stared at the clock the entire time, unable to move, unable to take my eyes off the hallway that led back to my desk. Every shadow looked like it was leaning toward me. Every sound felt deliberate. When the police finally came in, flashlights sweeping, radios crackling, the building filled with noise. But none of it made me feel safer. 2 patrol officers, 1 supervisor. They searched Archive B first. Nothing. No forced entry. No disturbed shelves. No signs anyone had been inside, except me. They found the writing on the floor. "You missed 1-1. Of the officers crouched down and ran a gloved finger just above the dust. "Looks like a prank," he said. I snapped. "This isn't a prank," I said louder than I meant to. "That man was here. He knew about the FBI. He had my keycard." The supervisor looked at me carefully. "You sure you're okay?" he asked. That question hurt more than anything else that night. They took my statement, every word, every detail, the man's voice, his posture, the way he'd moved without urgency. When I finished, the supervisor sighed. "We'll notify Federal," he said, "but right now, we don't have enough to hold anyone." "Hold," I said. "You didn't even see him." They left just before dawn. The sun came up like nothing had happened. At 7:02 a.m., Agent Collins called me, not to ask how I was, not to apologize. He asked me one question. "Did he speak to you?" "Yes." There was a long pause. "Did he say anything specific?" I told him everything. The warning, the keycard, the words on the floor. When I finished, Collins swore under his breath. "He wasn't supposed to approach you yet," he said. "What do you mean yet?" I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he asked me something that made my stomach drop. "Did you notice anyone else in the building last night?" "No," I said, "just him." Another pause. "Are you sure?" I thought back. The phone call, the triggered sensor, the way the man had known exactly where I'd be standing. "I'm sure," I said. "Why?" "Because," Collins said slowly, "we've been tracking a suspect for 6 weeks, and he was in custody last night." My chest tightened. "In custody," I said. "Then who was that?" "That's what we're trying to figure out. The FBI came back that afternoon. Different agents this time. They brought photos, more than before. Surveillance stills from bus stations, rest stops, toll booths. All the same man, except one. Agent Collins slid the last photo toward me. "Do you recognize him?" The image showed two men standing near a vending machine. One was the suspect I'd seen, the other was blurred, but I recognized the jacket, the hat, the posture. "That's him," I said. "That's the man from last night." Collins's face went pale. "That man," he said, "is a witness." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "That's impossible," I said. "He admitted everything." Collins leaned closer. "No," he said. "He let you believe he did." They explained then. The killings weren't committed by one man. There were two. One made contact, learned routines, spoke calmly, left no trace. The other followed later. They'd been watching the wrong role, the wrong pattern. The man I met wasn't the killer. He was the key. "He chooses them," Collins said, "marks them, prepares them." "For who?" I asked. "For the one you never see." I felt sick. "You said 4 victims," I said. Collins nodded. "Yes. And the message said you missed one." Another nod. "Because there was a 5th attempt," he said, "and it failed." "Failed how?" He hesitated. "The victim disappeared." I went cold. "Disappeared?" "No body," Collins said. "No blood, no struggle, just gone." They showed me the location. A municipal building, same layout as mine, same night shift, same hours. The guard had vanished during his shift. His logbook stopped mid-sentence. The FBI believed he'd been taken alive. "Why tell me this?" I asked. "Because," Collins said, "we think you were supposed to be next." Silence filled the room. "We believe he was testing you," Collins continued, "seeing how you'd react, how calm you'd stay." I thought about the smile, the way he'd said you're calmer than the others. That night they pulled me off duty, placed a temporary officer in my place. At 2:38 a.m., during the replacement guard's shift, the west entrance sensor triggered again. This time, there were 2 sets of footprints. One led inside, the other led back out. And in the snow outside the building, written in careful letters, were 6 new words. "This one wasn't ready." They didn't tell me right away. I found out because no one answered the phone. I woke up just after noon, disoriented, still half stuck in the building from the night before. My answering machine light was blinking, not flashing, just solid red. That meant one long message. It was Agent Collins. "Call me as soon as you get this," he said. "Do not go anywhere alone." I called back immediately. "That officer," I said before he could speak. "The one who covered my shift last night. Where is he?" There was silence on the line. Then, quietly, "We don't know." They'd lost him somewhere between 2:30 and 3 a.m. The patrol car assigned to check on him never arrived. The officer was supposed to do a routine radio check every 30 minutes. At 2:31 a.m., he logged in. At 3:02 a.m., his radio transmitted 12 seconds of open air. Then nothing. No body, no blood, no signs of a struggle. Just his jacket folded neatly on the security desk. I sat down hard on my couch. "That's my desk," I said. "Yes," Collins replied, "which is why you're not going back there." They placed a unit outside my apartment that night. Unmarked car, 2 agents rotating shifts. They told me to keep the lights on, curtains open, phone nearby. Sleep didn't come. At 1:19 a.m., the phone rang, not the apartment phone. My answering machine clicked on automatically. I didn't breathe. The tape recorded 5 seconds of silence. Then a voice, not loud, not rushed. "You weren't there." The line went dead. I replayed it 3 times before I realized what terrified me most. He sounded disappointed. The FBI arrived within minutes. They searched the building, the stairwell, the alley behind my place. Nothing. That's when Collins finally told me the truth they'd been holding back. The disappeared guard hadn't been the first. He was the third. 3 night workers, 3 different buildings, same pattern. No bodies, no witnesses, just silence where someone used to be. "Oh, they don't kill them right away," Collins said. "How do you know?" I asked. "Because 2 days ago, he replied. We found one. Alive. Barely. The survivor had been discovered in an abandoned service tunnel beneath a closed factory. Dehydrated, hypothermic, fingertips worn raw. He wouldn't speak. Not at first. When he finally did, he said only one thing. He made me wait. Wait for what? No one knew. Until the survivor was shown a photograph. Not of the killer, of me. He'd started screaming. That's when the FBI realized something they hadn't wanted to admit. I wasn't just a target. I was part of the pattern. The man I met in the hallway hadn't been assessing whether I could be killed. He was assessing whether I could be used. They need someone calm, Collins said. Someone predictable. Someone who follows rules. Someone like me. They believed the first man, the one I'd spoken to, handled selection and conditioning. He observed, he spoke, he prepared. The second man handled extraction. Together they created a routine no one questioned. A night worker speaking to another night worker. No alarms, no resistance. They come back, Collins said. Always. That night, they offered me protection. A safe house, a different city. I said no. They stared at me like I was insane. You don't understand, I said. He's already decided. Collins didn't argue. Instead, he asked, what do you think he wants from you? I thought about the smile, about the key card, about the message. This one wasn't ready. I think, I said slowly, he wants me to be. Against protocol, against reason, they let me return to the building. But not officially. No uniform, no logbook, just me, wired with a microphone, a panic button taped inside my sleeve. Agents hidden nearby, watching, waiting. The building felt wrong without the desk light on. Empty. At 2:06 a.m., the phone rang. I let it ring once, then twice, then I answered. I knew you'd come back, the voice said. I didn't reply. You understand now, he continued. That's why they sent someone else. My pulse hammered in my ears. You're not angry, he said. That's good. Where is he? I asked. A pause. He's waiting, the voice said. For what? For you to decide, he replied. The west entrance sensor triggered. I didn't move. The emergency exit unlocked itself. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. Then he stepped into the light. Same jacket, same calm eyes. He looked at me like an old co-worker. Oh, tonight, he said. You don't miss.
Perilous insertions meant deployments were fraught with danger. Operatives drowned in rough seas, and parachute teams sometimes landed directly in Japanese camps, leading to their capture and execution. Equipment failure was constant. Radios and batteries were fragile. In the related Operation Copper on Mushu Island in April 1945, swamped radios prevented the team from contacting their extraction vessel, leading to the loss of all but one operative. Substandard radio procedures were also cited as a reason for the failure of some Z Special Unit operations in Timor, highlighting the critical importance of communication. Extreme caution prevailed. The fear of losing entire teams was so pervasive that an early Agus insertion was aborted simply because operatives mistook two burnt, leafless trees for enemy radio masts. This incident highlights the knife-edge tension under which these missions were planned and executed. In stark contrast to the ambiguous silence of a missing team, the loss of the consolidated B-24M Liberator bomber, A-72-191 on March 25, 1945, was a definite and heavy blow. The aircraft belonged to the RAAF's No. 200 flight, a special duties unit tasked with inserting and supplying SRD personnel. The Liberator, piloted by the flight's commanding officer, Squadron Leader Harold Graham Pockley, was on its return journey after successfully parachuting the 8-man Simut-1 party into the Kelebit Highlands of Borneo. On board with the 11-man aircrew was Major Henry E. Ellis, a British SOE officer attached to Z Special Unit. The aircraft disappeared on its way back to base in the Philippines. A 2-day search by Australian and U.S. Navy aircraft failed to locate any wreckage. The loss of an experienced crew and its commander was a significant setback. However, the vital nature of the missions meant operations could not be curtailed. A new commanding officer, Wing Commander E.V. Red, was appointed on April 15th, and number 200 Flight continued its hazardous work for the duration of the campaign. Launched in March 1945 and named after the Malay word for sandfly, Operation Agus was a series of reconnaissance and guerrilla warfare missions in British North Borneo. Its primary goals were to gather intelligence for the Obo 6 invasion, train local resistance, and harass the enemy. The claim that the teams were mapping the entire Borneo coast is an overstatement. Their reconnaissance was highly targeted and strategic, focusing on specific areas of tactical importance. The Agas I Party, led by the charismatic Major F.G.L. Gort Chester, exemplifies the operation's success. A former rubber planter with 2 decades of pre-war experience in Borneo, Chester was fluent in Malay and intimately familiar with the land and its people. Inserted by submarine in March 1945, his team established a 250-man guerrilla force, created a vital signal station, and gathered stunningly accurate intelligence that directly shaped the Obo 6 invasion plan, including identifying a key Japanese escape route and providing the first Allied reports on the Sandakan death marches. The Agus II Party, commanded by Major R.G.P.N. Combe, a pre-war district officer of Kudat, parachuted into Paitan Bay in early May 1945. The primary mission for the initial 5-man team, later reinforced by 9 operatives, was to gather intelligence for the upcoming Australian landings at Brunei Bay and Labuan, and to raise a local guerrilla force. Capitalizing on his local knowledge, Major Combe recruited a force of 150 to 250 men, prioritizing individuals with local standing, such as former members of the pre-war administration. A significant achievement was establishing contact and coordinating with existing Chinese guerrilla factions in the Kota Balud area, which expanded their operational reach. The Agas II Force conducted a series of successful raids on Japanese positions around Bangi Island, Pitas, and Marudu Bay. The intelligence they gathered was invaluable, providing Allied planners with information on Japanese troop dispositions and movements. Crucially, they confirmed that Bangi Island was not occupied by the enemy, directly informing the Obo 6 invasion plan. The party also provided humanitarian aid, setting up a hospital in the Lokopas area that served the local population.